I will make a quiet place within my heart. I will wait upon the Lord, wait upon the Lord.
Be still, my soul, be still. Be still, my soul, be still. Be still and know.
I will make a quiet place within my mind. I will wait upon the Lord, wait upon the Lord.
Be still, my soul, be still. Be still, my soul, be still. Be still, no.
I will make a quiet place
within my life, and I will wait upon the Lord, wait upon the Lord. I will make a quiet place.
And here in this quiet place, this place where the divine makes itself cleanly, clearly, and openly known in, through, and as each of us. It is that power that is peace, joy, love, happiness, harmony, wisdom, clarity, kindness, compassion, understanding, gratitude, and so, so much more. It is the power that is in charge here in this day, in this moment, in every moment. And I know that this day is already a perfect idea in the mind of God. Therefore, it must unfold with equal beauty and measure. I know that Reverend Karen's words are guided and directed, and she gives us a message that opens us to a new way of seeing and a new way of being, a new way of experiencing and living in the world. The Bradford's music, as always, lifts our hearts and allows us to rise to new ways of seeing as well. That feeling that comes from listening to music is a unique form of the expression of God, and we each feel it profoundly. I know that as we move forward today, we do so with a sense of gratitude, with a sense of joy, excitement, expectancy of good, good, and more good. So I release this out into that exquisite synchronicity that is both love and law, knowing that the universe indeed has already said yes. And so it is. And my reading is from Can We Talk to God by Ernest Holmes, and it is from a section about prayer and treatment. And he says, we must come to feel that there is a universal goodness, a perfect law, and a divine reality flowing through our world. It is impossible to really erase this spiritual conviction. It is implanted by a reality greater than the human mind. There is no power which descends into and operates through the consciousness of the one sensing such power. There is a power which descends into and operates through the consciousness of the one sensing the power. Real in itself and being ever present, it is as actual as we allow it to become. There is an essence in the invisible world, the emanation of which is the passing of beauty into form of that which is beautiful, of life into the form of that which lives, the passing of spirit from an abstract into a concrete state. It is this principle which that we see. Excuse me. It is this principle which we seek to demonstrate. Conviction compels the attention of the intellect. It is the reality which floods it. So just allow yourself to feel that flooding of the divine moving to us and through us, which allows us to experience that incredible perfection. And so it is.
All right, so I'm going to just preface this song that this song's been around for quite a bit of time, but I seen it actually, the principle of this song come into play right here in this building. You know, I didn't know many of you when we started, and I went to one of the men's retreats, and I was wanting some more friends, and guess what? I got them. Got some right out here in the audience from that very thing, and so I just want to say, I guess listen to the words. If you want more love, give love. If you want more joy, give joy. If you want more peace, give peace. If you want more, give. If you want more, give. If you want more money, give your money. If you want more time, give up your time. If you want more friends, be a friend. If you want more, give. If you want more, give.
When you give, you receive. It's as simple as that. There's no effort, no struggle. It's just a simple fact. If you want to see a change, be the change. If you want to have more truth, tell your truth. If you want more gratitude, give thanks. If you want more, give. If you want more, give. If you want more, if you want more, if you want more. If you want more, if you want more, if you want more. If you want more, if you want more, if you want more. If you want more, if you want more. Give,
Hey, that's what we like. That's the way to light the place up on a weekend holiday or a holiday weekend. Good morning. Good morning, good morning. Welcome to the West Valley Center for Spiritual Living. I'm Reverend Karen Rice, and I'm really happy to be here, and I'm grateful to all of you who are actually in the building on this busy weekend. I know a lot of you were entertaining, or a lot of you were celebrating, and sometimes it's a little hard to give up a Sunday after a festive holiday weekend. So it's just another work week for me. But I did really have a fun 4 days too. So welcome. Thank you. Wow, really well done. Didn't she do a good job in taking something familiar to us and making it really good? And we love you, Rod. We're so glad you came here to make friends, that you're not just the musician, you're not just the house band, but you are like one of us, and that means so much to all of us. It really does make it so much better. Me and Reverend Clyde have that talk a lot. So we are talking indeed about this theme of service. Reverend Clyde, gorgeous job. I feel like every week it got better and better, and I had so much fun coordinating my talks to tie in with what you were going to present. And yes, we are the change, and yes, this is the final Sunday where we're actually concluding the stewardship campaign. However, you can turn in your cards from now until the end of the year, or even thereafter. People sometimes surprise us during the year. And that will help us to continue to see what's the substance of what's here, the way in which we're in a reciprocal relationship. And I think we've had such a beautiful experience seeding our future through this campaign in 2023 as we get this joyous expectation revved up for the upcoming year. I'm so happy about all of it. I'm a little extra happy today. I'm not certain why, except I've had a lovely week. So this morning we are actually talking about the gift of service. When we're talking about giving, we're talking about the gift of service very specifically in the way that we show up and volunteer. And I think that volunteering in any way that you might do that, whether it's concerning a church or outside of a church, it is a true act of faith. Because when we show up and we give of ourselves in a service relationship with anybody or any organization, we are really throwing ourselves smack dab in the middle of God's sweet current of life. And that's what I wanted to talk about this morning. The title of my message is The Eternal Reservoir. Because there's that eternal substance that is always flowing, that inexhaustible supply of every good gift that flows freely in our own lives. But when we are aware of it, something significant changes. And it all happens because of that experience. It is an act of faith. We are demonstrating our faith by the work of our hands. So Holmes said, and this is where I took the term eternal reservoir, Holmes said, the spiritual being of every person, that part of you that is pure God, just that spiritual stuff that we may not remember day to day and task to task, but is the ultimate truth of our reality. The spiritual being of every person may draw upon that eternal reservoir. So I believe that this is really the substance of every talk that has ever been presented from this platform or any Sunday pulpit. I think it is the substance of truth that we're putting together in a really physical and practical way, because what we're talking about is not only that power and presence that's greater than we are, but we're talking about this ongoing movement or activity of life itself that is like a flowing river that's always tapping into that eternal reservoir. And so it reminds us that there has to be a current for good, a movement of life that's totally for positive, that is divinely illumined and the intention of God. And it has to be, that current has to be stronger than any devious undercurrent, whether those are real or imagined, because boy, sometimes we can imagine some pretty scary things. And when we're left alone to think our thoughts in our own little private minds. So Sunday morning is such a great time to sort of release all that and get that current moving and help us find our way back to that reservoir that ceaselessly gives. Every religious tradition has their own version of give as you would like to receive. And so what we know is through that universal instruction that there is an element of spirituality that is the way, is about the way we are here to serve each other. Albert Einstein, I found this fabulous quote from Einstein, and he said, "Many times a day I realize how much my outer life is built upon the labors of other people, and how earnestly I must exert myself in order to give in return as much as I have received." I read that quote and I just stopped and I allowed like the Holy Spirit to just overwhelm me, just wash over me, while I had that sort of quickening moment and experience of realizing how generous life is and how accurate Einstein is in saying that we could never return as much as we receive. And it's important to be a good receiver because that fuels us and it keeps that cycle going. But it's really a quite profound thought. I'm really trying to say profound less so that I'll have a little more credibility. But I am always going to be that woman that uses 2 exclamation points at the end of a sentence when I'm excited about something. I don't care if it's proper or not. So profound is an experience that happens to my passionate heart with great frequency. And this was a profound moment to see that even if we attempted to reciprocate in all the good things that we encounter every day, it would be impossible because the universe is that generous and kind, and the goodness of people is there for us to see and recognize and name so that can be the prolific movement of goodness on this planet. It's through our recognition. So when I think of Einstein, a brilliant man speaking such words, mathematical, scientific, he understands all things that I don't, and he speaks them so well, and it made me think this. Even while I am at sleep, I'm resting my body, restoring my physical well-being, sleeping. There are people stocking the shelves in the grocery stores. There are people that are maintaining the flow of electricity out at the power plant, and people at the water company that are going to make sure I have fresh water in the morning. There are, while I'm sleeping, and hopefully you're sleeping in similar time frames too, there are people that are driving big rigs and delivering goods all over. Those trucks never quit moving. They are always out there on the road getting things from this place to that place. There are always people that are in the middle of the night that are cleaning the parking lots and the open spaces so that we can enjoy them in the morning. And then I thought, there are people we don't think of very often, but we have occasion to remember. There are people that are taking care of our loved ones when they are ill, or people that are running facilities where they are facilitating care to other human beings that need help in the middle of the night. So there are so many ways that we can see it's a great, great blessing. In fact, if we didn't team up and divide the work, we couldn't manage the day-to-day things that we think we like to get done or should get done. And as I reflected on that, I thought this has been true throughout all time. There have always been tribes of people that have learned the very same lesson. Many hands make for light work. We give and we do our part. We hopefully hone in on our own gifts, and thereby we make other people's lives easier. And isn't that wonderful? I think it's really wonderful, because what I'm aware of is there are a lot of jobs I really never want to do. I met a new person this week. I was invited to an occasion, and I was having a really good time. And the woman that cooked the turkey is a 7th grade math teacher. I would never want to do that. And God bless her. God bless all the people that are willing to hang with the middle schoolers who can't quite figure out if their little kids are grown-ups yet. And then I thought, well, and the same would be true of my profession. Most people would not want to prepare a message and stand in front of a crowd of people and speak once a week. So we do what we're given to do, or we do, like in my case, I do something that excites me and fulfills me, and I feel very blessed for that. But we embrace our gifts, and when we do that well, it benefits everybody around us too. Think about this. A great creator did that on purpose. Created us so that we're different, and we don't all have to do the same thing. We can divvy up the work and the tasks and the brilliance and the humor and some of the foibles, and we spread it around, and we have this much richer life because of it. So whether we notice it or not, there is an order to life. There is order in this universe. There is a healing current that bubbles up from that eternal reservoir, a healing current that sustains all creation, and our job is to find our place in that movement. Now, if you think about it, we could never do everything, nor, as mentioned, would it be possible for us to repay the goodness that is bestowed upon us. And there would be no way we could have equal proportions of giving and taking. In fact, we receive far more than we give, and that's because we live in a giving universe. We could never outgive God. Every day, we have air to breathe that we don't hardly think about. Most of us have enough food to eat. And in fact, in our culture, we can look around and we can see that we are well fed in many ways. Most of us have beds to sleep in. We have water to quench our thirst, and we have light to squelch the dark. We have people in our lives that we sometimes get entangled with, but we're caused to wonder, what's it all about? And so we have relationships that are intended to stretch us. Nobody ever said relationships, you find that soulmate, that perfect person, and you're going to live happily ever after. I had a really great 50 years. Well, not all of it was great, but I had a really great happily ever after that was really mixed with a lot of other stuff, because that's what life is. There are storms that move through life. So relationships are intended to stretch us, to grow us, to smooth us out, to round us, to be better shaped and to fit better in every way. And that can be a blessing, and it can often feel like a curse while you're trying to get to that place. But it's ongoing. It doesn't stop. And somehow, we seldom express our gratitude for all those things that just are given freely to us day after day and moment after moment. I was thinking that this is a funny part about writing a Sunday message. I thought, as I was writing the message, I thought, it was Friday, and I thought, I have had 3 momentous events this week that were completely out of the ordinary for me. I accepted 3 invitations this week that I never would have done in the past. And it was exciting. Some elements of this week for me were actually thrilling. And then I thought, oh, wait, no, because there was that one more thing. There was I forgot about that other thing that happened. And then suddenly I remembered, oh, wait. And then Kay and I had a really great conversation one day in the middle of the week. And it just kept growing. But what I realized as I was trying to just sum up how wonderful it feels to be able to say I had 3 momentous experiences this week that were completely out of my ordinary, which, by the way, I have been consciously attempting to expand my social life, do things I haven't done before. What I realized is that in those events, I felt cared for. What was so great about it? Yes, they were really quite fun, but I felt cared for. I felt that I had received kindness and generosity, and I felt the activity of love and caring and giving, and I felt like the recipient. I felt like the benefactor, the joy of saying yes to new experiences in my life. And the only thing I could do to pay back any of those wonderful gifts I received this week would be to keep that good flowing by giving in my own opportunities to be kind and generous and to bring joy to people's lives. And so that's a really good place to be, to start reflecting on all of that. And here's where it gets really juicy. Something in you, something inside of all of us is not fulfilled until we learn to help each other. So we uncover our gifts, and the gift of service at church, giving as a volunteer in a church setting, is a great place to start or to initiate that. I love those little orange slips that Reverend Clyde passed out to you this morning. For all those reasons that he stated in his presentation, it's good for us to volunteer, and we feel better when we do. Dr. Holmes said, there is a law of attraction and there is a law of repulsion. I like to think about that. Am I attracting? What am I attracting? What am I pushing away? Where am I saying yes and I can attract more good in my life? How can I give more, circulate more good on the planet? And then he goes on to say, just like the law of physics, just like our own thinking, all energy returns to its own source. This is important. What we put out comes back. Jesus counseled people to love one another. Jesus said, treat people the way you want to be treated. And we reap what we sow. And there are so many ways, so many different ways that we look at that idea without making it a cause that has a consequence that's not good if you don't like it. It's like a wheel. It doesn't matter if it's good or it's not so good. There's something always going on, and what matters is whether or not we are giving, we are receiving, but we want to make sure that we are not withholding, that we are not pulling ourselves out of possibilities where we could be in that gorgeous flow that is fed from that eternal reservoir. So we understand that all scientifically. You know, we have quantum physics now that we get excited about because finally science and spirituality are finding their way to get along nicely together. What we put in motion has a ripple effect. What we put in motion reverberates. I want to tell you something cute. Funny, cute. It's cute to me. I have conga drums at home. Don't ask why. No, I do not play them. Well, I do, but but they're not very musically played by this person. But I do have conga drums, and let me just, for any of you you're thinking bongos, congas. Tall, they're red, they stand on stands next to each other. You cannot walk by them without hitting something and playing a little something. And they stand in front of a book. Of course, I have bookcases everywhere, but a bookcase. And so I'll be looking for a book beating on the drums. It's really fun. I have no idea what I'm doing. But let me tell you something else about my conga drums. If a car goes by with that heavy bass beat, my conga drums will play to the beat of somebody else's music. Nobody touches them. They start vibrating. And if I happen to be sitting in my reading chair, which is right by the conga drums, again, don't ask why, it's the way it worked out. If I happen to be sitting in my reading chair, I can hear them vibrating. Energy returns. Energy is always moving around and has an impact. The energy of music complements a Sunday spiritual experience. And if you have great musicians like we happen to be blessed with, it makes it really better. You're welcome. So when I think about the way energy moves and the way my conga drums respond to outside noise, I think about the way my own energy must impact other people, because we know this to be true. So the question is, how do I move through life? And what kind of energy do I carry? Because sometimes, without thinking it through, we carry an energy that is not for life. But we have an energy because we're a little bit timid about the crazy world out there, or our strange family that we have to connect with over the holidays. And we have these guarded defenses in place. And if you are carrying an energy that is not for life, then it is an energy that is separating you from what's in front of you. So we understand that the way our God-intended ego works is to spare us from being too hard on ourselves. And so when the ego gets frightened, the ego does throw up different defenses. And when you study Psychology 101, you go through a list of them and you begin to look at, hopefully you begin to look at the ways that you have your own defense mechanisms in place. And we come to learn, especially through spiritual teaching, that it is much wiser to set down our defenses. Our safety lies in our defenselessness. Quite the opposite of how it feels sometimes. So one way to make peace with your own defensive energy is to just lovingly, kindly, and with great compassion acknowledge where you're guarded. Acknowledge where you're feeling a little standoffish. Acknowledge where you are feeling ultimately separated, because you might not come up with that adjective, and yet we understand spiritually that's what happens when we start putting up the wall, or we start building the armor that we wear to protect ourselves. We are ultimately separating ourselves from the presence of love in the interactions with other people. And I know it's hard if you've been hurt, especially if you've been hurt in love. But the way to safety is never through more armor. All energy returns to its source. There is a power that's greater than we are. That's the most important thing. If I can gently acknowledge I'm feeling a little standoffish, if I can just own that myself, then there's something sweet that can happen in my remembrance of, oh wait, there's a power here that's greater than I am. That power for love is greater than anything that doesn't look lovely, and it is here to support me. And I can get in that current, in that movement, and know that I am safe again. So let us learn to touch things with love. Let us practice demonstrating kindness and care, and let's be generous in the art of giving. And very specifically, when we're talking about volunteering at church, we are demonstrating, when we agree to volunteer in church in some way, we are demonstrating a way in which we are using the law of reciprocity, the way in which we are creating a vibration in the universe that corresponds mathematically in a way where goodness will return to us, that people will help us when we need it, will be there for us when we're down, or will help us carry the food from the kitchen to the buffet table. There's great joy in giving by means of service. And so many of you, as I look around, even people that I haven't seen regularly in years, can attest, I know have been great volunteers at this church. And I think that's what happens with great volunteers, is they don't get mentioned. John Kruger is often the last one out of this building on Sunday. And John Kruger, your car was here yesterday when I drove by, wasn't it? John Kruger is here a lot, doing all kinds of things that even I do not know. Fred Carroll is his support person. These men both have, whether you realize this or not, they both have full-time jobs. They're not playing around, kind of like Reverend Clyde. Reverend Clyde has a full-time job, and yet they are here always doing at the church. And I think one of my favorite memories of someone who served for many years in the kitchen, I want to talk about Sue Ann Lacey for a minute. Sue Ann and Diane I always called them the team leads, in the same way I call Karen Feast the team lead for the kitchen now, and she never ever agreed to be the team lead. Sorry. It's just how I see it in my mind, because it was your energy, Karen, it was your presence that allowed us to get moving in the social hall again. Before Karen came to me, Clyde kept whining, when can we have food again? And we had nobody to help, and Karen just came up out of the clear blue one day and said, I'd like to help. I don't want to do the whole thing, but I wouldn't mind helping. And she ended up doing the whole thing and getting us restored to a beautiful movement where it just feels natural and normal for us again. But I want to tell you, one of my favorite memories about service came from Sue Ann Lacey many years ago, and for many years. She worked in the kitchen, and everybody would be eating, and she would stand in the kitchen, and she would lean on the kitchen counter looking through those windows, the windows that open, the pass-through there, the little Dutch doors, whatever you call them. She would lean and just have this big smile on her face while she looked at everybody enjoying themselves. And on 2, maybe 3 occasions, she said to me, Reverend Karen, look at this. Look at how much joy there is here. That's why I love doing this job in the kitchen. Because, listen, can you hear the buzz? That's joy. Those are people enjoying each other's company. And I help do that. And it's such a beautiful illustration of giving. Reverend Clyde, would you join me on the stage? Would you mind? I'm gonna use Reverend Clyde as an example for a minute. Yeah, I am. I am. And then, there are so many unseen players that do give tremendous, like, numbers of hours on a consistent basis. Reverend Clyde does the Wednesday night service, and he has 2 women in that group who are absolutely fully engaged in this community, and they have almost never been here on a Sunday morning. Susan and Jean Arioli, they are dedicated to a Wednesday night service. They're not morning people, but they show up at this church once a week, even through summer, and they do work for the thrift store, or they work in organizing the books upstairs. And we can just count on that. And they're so thoughtful. They come in, and they always call me from their car before they enter the building, so I won't be startled if I hear their footsteps upstairs. And the same with the thrift store. There are people that are not a part of this community. Judy Baker is our practitioner who holds an emeritus license. That means she doesn't have to renew anymore. She's done it for so long, she earns all these privileges. But she works. She's not here year-round, but when she's here, she is here almost every Thursday, and she brings her niece, Carrie, who none of us even know. And they work for hours, and they get things organized. And then, of course, there's Mary Hines, who has been devoted to the thrift store since before I ever even came here. And the thrift store was pretty new when I first got here. But these are amazing people, and the list is long. I just want you to know it really takes a village. Last September, you may recall, Reverend Clyde wasn't here for a whole week. Our organization, Centers for Spiritual Living, put out a call there's 1 week in September we dedicate to giving in terms of service, volunteering. And Reverend Clyde took a week's vacation from his work, and he spent an entire week in Oregon at Camp Cedar Ridge, the CSL youth camp that they also use for ministerial retreats. You can ask her why she's chuckling later, except that it is a youth camp, and so the accommodations for adults are not quite as pleasing as we would otherwise hope. Reverend Clyde worked for a week, and he, of course, was one of the most able producers, I'm going to guess. I saw some pictures. Well, we're going to show some pictures. And this letter came to Reverend Clyde, and I have saved it all this time from September. I had it hoping I would remember to use it. Reverend Clyde, this letter was written to you. Greetings, Reverend Clyde, and a list of others. I am writing to thank you for your participation in dedicated sacred service during September of 2023 Volunteer Week. I have been waiting to write until we finished the handrail for the new stairs so that you could see the completed video that we have created. I can't thank you enough for your dedication, your generosity, your hard work. We accomplished so much in just 1 week, and we also had the opportunity to meet and spend time with you, which was a great blessing. Don't you know it's fun to hang out with Reverend Clyde? Special thanks to Rex for picking blackberries and making a pie for all of us. Oh my gosh, that's fabulous. Camp Cedar Ridge is all about transformation, love, relationships, and creating a safe and loving environment for people. Thank you for your wholehearted way that you have said yes to this invitation. You gave so much of your time, your treasure, your talent. It was remarkable. We are blessed to have you as beloved members of Camp Cedar Ridge as a community. Reverend Clyde, we are privileged that you were there to represent our center. Thank you for serving. Don't go away. Kendra, do you think we have your video. Look for Reverend Clyde. Oh, there he is. There he is again. Did you move those? Oh. Is that the pie? inside the curtains. Thank you so much, Kendra. Thank you, Reverend Clyde. I have a couple questions for you. I'm happy that, I want them to hear your answers. This would be fun. We did not rehearse this. I'm interested in knowing, you told us about, I did not know that Reverend Clyde served in the youth and family ministry. What kind of things have you done in terms of your relationship at the different Science of Mind churches you've been at?
Yeah, so I volunteered as a greeter. That's why greeter is one of my favorite positions, because you're starting out and getting to know people in the community, and it's where you get free hugs. So you get to hug as many people as you want. I volunteered at where I learned that my talent wasn't youth and family, but it was like organizing events and social things. So I'm a good project manager. So I'm not so much a worker, but a good supervisor.
Oh, you're a good worker.
Yeah.
You're a good worker.
And then I'll tell you one thing about the retreat center. I think I shared with you. But the other thing that probably the biggest gift for me, it was I've been on boards, on the church board here, church board other centers, and talking about personal growth. If you can be on that board, it will grow you. And I love the way that it not only grows us individually, but it grows us as a board. And it's a really beautiful experience.
True. That's very true.
Yeah. And wait, one more thing.
Okay.
So that retreat, I will tell you, that was really hard work. And a lot of time we were working by ourselves out, but it was a beautiful out in the country. And every day, I mean, I was in bed by 8 o'clock. I was exhausted. Yeah. But it was incredible, labor and just being in the beautiful weather. And they fed us really good. So it was a great experience.
Nice. So I actually was going to ask you two more questions, but you sort of summed it up. So let me just say, I was going to ask, why do you serve and how has it reflected back in your life? So maybe you could just sum up a statement.
Yeah, I've always believed all my life about serving, being in service, because that's the way you give love. And also in the kitchen, I even though I do just a few things in the kitchen, but for me, it's setting that intention for that love, and so it's giving that love, and then what do I get in return is all the love. That's how I get paid. So I enjoy it. So,
Thank you so much, Reverend Clyde. There is an eternal reservoir, and it's always feeding this magnificent river of life, the movement of life, and it is a mighty river that has been flowing throughout time, and it is a river of healing and restoration of all things. Jesus called it the kingdom of God. And in that healing current, we see that when we align to that divine current, then the highest and the best possibilities unfold in all sorts of ways, expected and unexpected. Intellectual study of spiritual matters can help us get good at recognizing the patterns that we see in nature, and seeing and knowing and owning this truth of how beautifully we are sustained and supported in this universe. But spiritual practice, as we have spoken about all month long, in all the ways you can practice your spirituality in a physical way, that's how we bring ourselves to God in this healing work. And that's including the kitchen or the parking lot or the different programs. We're hoping to find and reestablish a youth and family program here in this community. We serve as a means to participate in what God is already doing. Can you feel that? That's the way we say, Lord, concerning the work of my hands, or the way it was so beautifully is said, Lord, make me an instrument through which, I can be a vessel and you might express, and my gifts can be shared with the world. So I would like to end this morning with a quote from Joan Borisenko, a really wonderful woman author I've admired for many years. She has a statement that speaks to giving in the way that it speaks to spiritual optimism. A spiritually optimistic point of view states that the universe is woven from a fabric of love. Everything that is happening is ultimately for the good if we are willing to face any adversities and see that adversities help the soul to grow. There is an eternal reservoir, and this ongoing goodness of God is forever flowing. Let us find our way into that current. That's what I wanted to say today. Take a breath. Take a holy breath. And feel and sense the movement of life within you. Because right where we are is the full presence of God. In this sanctuary, in this sacred space where we sit as we listen, wherever that may be, there too is the infinite intelligence of all the universe. The very wisdom that has created all of life. There can be no place where God is not. God cannot be limited, and therefore, nor can we. So we find our way as we feel the force of love within us, as we recognize and name this as God's love. It is the greatest force in the universe. It is the most potent activity of life, for it holds everything in place. It is that element of life which demonstrates repeatedly there is a perfect order, there is a divine pattern, there is a place for us to be and a way for us to show up. And we are invited to be a part of this great current through our very own giving and receiving. So this day, with so many important words having been spoken, witnessing the volunteer work of a minister who gives a week of his life to dedicated service, and feeling empowered by the profound way that giving and receiving are interconnected and cannot be separated. I feel that love of God, and I know that it is a great, great gift. That it is a way in which we can replenish our souls as we fall back and remember there is a power and a presence that's greater than we are, and that gift of love desires to be expressed on this planet, and it can only come as we allow ourselves to be vessels. So this morning, this day, this very moment, we open our hearts and our minds, and we say confidently to the great creator of all life, use me, for there is a gift I am to bring, and I am dedicating myself this day, this week, to be aware of those divine gifts that I can share in this beautiful world, in this thing called life. So indeed, we have become a piece, a part, an important segment of the healing and the restoration of love and of goodness on this planet. We come willingly, we come open and ready and willing to do our part. And therefore, we are the instrument through which God helps to heal this planet. So any appearance of chaos cannot exist in the presence of our surety. And we stand confidently knowing that we stand aligned to that current. We stand connected to that movement of life so that the reverberation we bring to the planet is that of promise, of hope, of beauty, of greatness, of kindness, of caring, and of love. And in this way, we not only heal all things, but we are healed in return, for the source is invigorated by the gift. So I say thank you, God. Thank you, life. Thank you, infinite spirit, for all of these gifts that we receive and that we give, and for all that is yet to come. I release these words with a joyous heart into the law, knowing it is already done. And together we say, and so it is. Amen. Amen.
Grateful, grateful, grateful for all the love that I have. I am so grateful, grateful, grateful for all the love that I have. Everywhere I look and every face I see is love reflected, shining back to me. I just give thanks for all these simple things, the joy and peace that gratitude brings. That's why I'm grateful, grateful, grateful for all the love that I have. I am so grateful, grateful, grateful for all the love that I have.
Yes, it's the month of Thanksgiving, so we have a lot to be thankful for. So I hope we are all counting our blessings every day. So now is the time to celebrate the abundance of our life and the abundance of our community. So we are going to say our giving affirmation in just a minute. I just want to remind everybody that we don't pass around the offering plate. We have drop boxes in the back of the sanctuary on the way to Papke Hall for fellowship, and also out in the bookstore. Again, if you need a pledge card, if you didn't bring one in, we can give one to you. We have extras. And I think that's all I got to say. So let's say our giving affirmation together. I live in a consciousness of good. Divine love blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you, God, and so it is.
Please rise for our last song. Now let me hear ya. Oh, 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 it feels so good to be alive. Oh, 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 it feels so good to be alive. I ain't thinking about my problems. I'm living now. I'm living now. And I ain't gonna worry about the future. I'm living now. I'm living now. So put your hands up if you feel like having a good time. Put your hands up if you're sharing love with all. Raise your cup if you're hopeful for tomorrow. one life to live. Oh, 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 it feels so good to be alive. Oh, 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 it feels so good to be alive. One more time. Oh, 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 it feels so good to be alive.
All righty. Thank you, Bradford. Feels good to be alive. So let's close with our closing affirmation. Just repeat after me. I am the change in my life. In my community. And in the world. And so it is.